The Season 20 mid-season patch just dropped and there were a ton of buffs and nerfs included. One weapon type in particular that received a buff was sidearms in PvE. Sidearms, pulse rifles, and hand cannons all received a 20% buff against red and orange bar enemies. So with that being said, I thought it would be a fun idea to create an entire build around them with a lot of versatility. So we're going to pair sidearms with the sidearm based exotic for hunters, Mechaneers Trick Sleeves. Mechaneers increase the sidearm ready and reload speed as well as an increase to damage while critically wounded. This buff is 100% in PvE and 35% in PvP. I told you this was a versatile build, and because of that we are not only going to be looking at this build and how easy it is to pair with multiple subclasses, but also the viability in PvP too. So you guys are getting a whole package of a build today. Obviously, this build is not going to be one of those meta-defining builds, but it's just going to be one that is fun to use and is pretty versatile. Before we hop into the build, dropping a like and subscription to the channel would mean a ton to me and it helps me out a lot. Now let's hop into it. We're going to start with the PvE version of this build, and the layout of the build is going to be a little different since we are going to have every subclass viable in it. So to start, we are going to go over the armor mods since these stay essentially the same throughout, since we are only changing siphon mods to pair with whatever weapon we are using, with the exception of Strand. On our helmet, we're going to go with a siphon mod that is dependent on the weapons we are bringing along, and then you can take either a ashes to asset or a power preservation if you are on Strand, since we aren't getting a ton of kills with grenades on Strand. On our gauntlets, we're going to have a bolstering detonation, focusing strike, and then an impact induction. We're going to use these to get our class ability and grenades back faster. Our chest is going to have a charged up and then either 2 resistant mods or a resistance and a reserves mod. The boots are going to have 2 weapon surges depending on the type of weapon you are using, and then an innervation. Finally, our class item will have 2 bombers and a reaper, but if you are on Strand, use healthy finisher and proximity ward since we are utilizing the dive on Strand and that doesn't activate class ability type mods. So as I have been saying, this is a very versatile build that you can pair with any subclass and weapon loadout as long as it's a sidearm. I will go over each subclass aspect and fragments as well as the sidearm I recommend bringing along, starting with Solar. Blade Barrage, Knife Trick, and then Firebolt Grenades to pair with the artifact perks. Then for aspects, use On Your Mark and Knock 'em down. For our fragments, Ember of Torches, Ashes, Ember of Eruption, Ember of Searing, and then Ember of Char. With Solar, we're going to build into Ignitions to pair alongside Incandescent on our sidearm, which is none other than Drang. Disruption Rank and Incandescent on Drang is very nice for PvE, so that perk loadout is nice. However, if you did not get one last season, Banshee has an old Drang that you can purchase if you have the exotic Sturm. Moving over to Arc, which is going to be arguably my favorite one to use with this build, we're going to start with Gathering Storm for the super, Combination Blow, Pulse Grenades. Flow State and Lethal Current will be the aspects here, and then for fragments, throw on Spark of Discharge, Spark of Shock, Spark of Ions, and then Spark of Magnitude. For the sidearm I recommend bringing along is easily Brigand's Law with Threat Detector and Volt Shot. This sidearm is incredibly powerful, even more so after the sidearm buff. For Void, Deadfall Tether, and then Vortex Grenades with Vanishing Step plus Stylish Executioner for the aspects. Echo of Remnants, Echo of Undermining, Echo of Cessation, and Echo of Starvation for the fragments. For the sidearm, I recommend the Furatura 59 with Threat Detector and Repulsor Brace. I love Repulsor Brace as a perk and it pairs incredibly well here as well as any Void build. On Stasis, we are going to build into Shatter, so Glacier Grenades here, then Shatter Dive and Touch of Winter for the aspects. Whisper of Chains, Whisper of Fissures, and Whisper of Shards for the fragments. For sidearms, we actually have a few different options here, being Liminal Vigil from the Spire of the Watcher dungeon with Headstone and Surrounded, Peace Bond from Iron Banner with Subsistence and Headstone, or the exotic Cryosthesia 77k. All of these can take advantage of Shatter. Finally, for Strand, build into Suspend with the subclass here, and go with Shackle Grenades, and the only 2 aspects we have, Widow Silk and Ensnaring Slam. And then Thread of Generation, Thread of Warding, Thread of Continuity, and Thread of Transmutation for the fragments. The only Strand sidearm we have as of right now is the exotic Final Warning, which is actually pretty solid. A few more sidearms that are also some very solid choices would be Rat King and Devil's Ruin for exotics. And if you bring in 6 Rat Kings in any situation, you are gonna fry and having a lot of fun with it. Now, when we look at this build in PvP, this is where I can really see it shining since sidearms are incredibly powerful in PvP. Armor mods are going to be depending on the weapons you want to use. So for helmets, targeting mods according to your kinetic and energy weapons. Then on the gauntlets, you can keep the same mods from PvE since your ready and reload speed of sidearms are already boosted a ton. On the chest piece, take in unflinching mods that complement your kinetic and energy weapons again. The boots can stay the same as well since you want to boost the damage of whatever weapon you are using when getting armor charge. The class item, you can also keep the exact same as well since bombers and reapers are very beneficial in PvP to get armor charges and abilities back faster. In PvP, some sidearms are more beneficial here than in PvE, so I'm going to give you a few different ones that I personally enjoy using the most. Starting off, Drang, arguably the best PvP in the sidearm in the game, with the perk combo of Moving Target and Rampage or Zen Moment. The Vision with Killing Wind and Kill Clip, the Keening with Moving Target and Zen Moment is what I like there. And then the Firatura 59 with Hipfire Grip and Offhand Strike is very fun as well. For kinetics, Allied Demand with Rangefinder and Eye of the Storm or Iron Reach is great. Lonesome with Zen Moment and Kill Clip or even Peace Bond with Rangefinder Iron Reach is nice. For exotics, Forerunner, Rat King, Cryosthesia, or even Devil's Ruin are all great choices too. You could also bring along Traveler's Chosen. This build isn't going to be meta changing or anything like that, but it is a very fun build to use, and I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy switching it up a little bit. When it comes to PvP though, this build is super strong and allows you to win some fights that you really shouldn't be winning with the damage boost when you're critically wounded. Definitely try this build out for yourself if you want to try out some new things and see how good sidearms are after the buff to them. If you enjoyed the video, leaving a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. If you want to check out some more of my content, then both my TikTok and Twitch will be linked in the description below. We're getting close to some big milestones over on both of those platforms, so I would really appreciate you checking it out. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.